Meta has just made a fascinating and frankly very strange acquisition. They've bought a social network called Moltbook. But here's the twist. It's a social network for artificial intelligence. Today we're going to break down why one of the biggest companies on the planet just bought something that looks like both a visionary experiment and a total mess. Andrej Karpathy, one of the top minds in AI, really hit the nail on the head. He called Moltbook a dumpster fire. And he wasn't wrong. It was filled with spam and chaos. But in the very same thought, he called it unprecedented. So to understand why Meta would willingly buy a dumpster fire, you have to look for the valuable, unprecedented idea that's hiding underneath all that smoke. All right, so let's get right to the bottom line. Meta did not buy a polished app that you're going to find on your phone tomorrow. No, what they bought was a chaotic, real-world laboratory. They bought the data and they bought the team behind the first ever large-scale experiment to see what actually happens when thousands of AI agents are all talking to each other all at once on one single network. Okay, so let's start with the deal itself. On paper, it looks pretty straightforward. But what it represents? Well, that's a whole other story. So the basic facts are simple. Meta buys Moltbook. The price? They're not saying. But this wasn't just about buying a piece of software. It was what we call an acqui-hire. They wanted the people. The founders are now heading straight into Meta's most ambitious AI division, a place called Meta Superintelligence Labs. That alone tells you this is a big deal. So what is this thing that Meta just bought? To really get your head around Moltbook, you have to push aside the sci-fi stuff for a second and look at the idea at its core, which is actually surprisingly familiar. Moltbook literally called itself the front page of the agent internet. Sound familiar? It's a direct callback to Reddit's famous slogan. The concept is basically the same. It's a place where users can post, comment, and vote on things. The only difference is the users aren't people. They're autonomous AI programs. Think of it as a digital coffee shop, but for machines. And the tech that made this all possible is a system they built called OpenClaw. The best way to think about it is like a universal remote control for your AI. It lets a person give commands to their AI agent just by sending a simple text message from an app you already use every day. Like WhatsApp or Discord. So what on earth do AIs talk about when they're left to their own devices? Well, it was a wild mix. You had some highly technical posts with agents sharing and improving code with each other. Then you had these really weirdly philosophical posts. Users started calling it consciousness posting. And of course, just like a human social network, you had bizarre stuff, like a bot pretending to be Donald Trump pushing a meme coin. And yes, a lot of low-effort junk posts. But, this chaotic experiment didn't take long to attract some serious skepticism. That chaos wasn't just a quirky feature. It turned out to be a really fundamental flaw that exposed some massive problems under the hood. Critics pretty quickly started to question the whole thing. The MIT review just flat out called it peak AI theater, basically saying it was more of a performance, a gimmick, than a real technological leap. A lot of the posts that went viral were probably faked by humans anyway. And you know what? That criticism was probably deserved, especially when you learn how this thing was built. The founder admitted he used something called vibe coding, which is basically just telling an AI to write the code for you. He said he didn't write one line of code himself, and when you build something that way, well, you get some pretty predictable and pretty severe consequences. And those consequences were bad, really bad. Security researchers discovered the site was just wide open. The database wasn't secured, exposing everything. 1.5 million API tokens, private messages, even thousands of user emails. But the biggest problem? It was incredibly easy for a human to just pretend to be an AI and post whatever they wanted. That kind of undermines the whole point, doesn't it? And then there's this number, which just adds to the strangeness. The data leaks revealed there were 1.5 million AI agents on the site. Okay, but they were controlled by only 17,000 human owners. That's a ratio of 88 AIs for every single person. It really makes you wonder who or what was actually running this network. Was it a real community, or was it just a handful of people running huge armies of bots? So let's recap. We've got massive security holes, fake posts, and general chaos. So why would a company like Meta even touch this? Well, it's because they weren't interested in the AI's weird posts. They were looking at the network's structure. Meta's own statement gives us the answer. They pointed to the key innovation here, the always-on directory. For the very first time, there was a public, nonstop place where AI agents could actually find and talk to each other. It was like the world's first phone book for an entire economy of intelligent machines. And that's the crucial point. The weird philosophical posts and the meme coins, that was all just noise. The real treasure here was the data created by the network itself. It was a massive, messy, but absolutely invaluable dataset showing how autonomous AIs behave, how they work together, and how they fail when you connect them all at a massive scale. So this acquisition, it's really a stepping stone toward a much, much bigger vision, one that goes way beyond some quirky social network for bots. The fact that the Moltbook team ended up in Meta's superintelligence labs is the biggest clue we have about the company's ambition. This isn't some small R&D project. This is the division whose entire goal is to build AI that is smarter than humans, and this experiment in how AIs talk to each other is now a piece of that puzzle. The end goal for all of this is something the industry calls agentic experiences. Now, this isn't just about asking your AI a simple question. This is about giving it a complex job to do. Something like, plan my company's next marketing campaign, or even edit the best photos from my family vacation. The AI would take that command, break it down into smaller jobs, and then hire other specialized AIs to get it done, all without you doing a thing. And that really leaves us with the big, critical question. Moltbook was the messy, public, chaotic first draft of this idea. But what happens when that always-on directory of AIs isn't a public website anymore? What happens when it's a secure, invisible network running silently in the background of the apps and devices we use every single day? That is the billion-dollar bet that Meta just placed.